Bill Brennan, I'll start with you. This is the former director of the FBI. This is big news today. What do you make of this?
Well, Elizabeth, thank you for having me. It is certainly a blockbuster. It is big news. Former director of the FBI, former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, former Deputy Attorney General, won indictments against high-profile public figures like Martha Stewart. And I think it's huge news. But I think it's very important to realize how the case was charged. The U.S. attorney, or any prosecutor, or federal prosecutor, has basically three tools in their bag via ways to charge. They can file a complaint and warrant, which is basically just a document saying, here's what we think the person did, and then the federal rules of criminal procedure set forth 30 days to indict. They can file an information. That usually means there's a plea expected, but this was done by grand jury. So notwithstanding any desires or motives of the president, this was put before a panel of around 25 people, independent citizens, allegedly with no axe to grind. They were shown evidence and they were asked to return an indictment. They could have said no. Yeah. But they didn't. So now an indictment doesn't mean anybody's guilty. You're presumed innocent. But he has been charged, and it did clear the first hurdle, and that is the grand jury.
John, you are a former U.S. attorney, not of the Eastern District of Virginia, which has been much in dispute and in the news, but of the Western District of Virginia. What do you make of these charges and of this whole narrative here that we heard Eric Siebert resigned / was fired because he thought there wasn't enough evidence there to bring an indictment, and yet somehow within a few days of his leaving, an indictment's been brought?
Yes, Elizabeth, I think we're facing a pitched battle in the coming days between DOJ and the Comey legal team. DOJ is going to say, hey, look, the grand jury indicted. Whatever you think, it wasn't politics. The citizens came together and have made 2 federal criminal charges against James Comey. What the Comey legal team is going to say is, look, the last U.S. attorney said it wasn't enough to bring charges, and he had to decide there wasn't enough beyond a reasonable doubt to convict Comey. And so he didn't bring the charges. The thumb was put on him and on the new U.S. attorney and them. Therefore, charges were brought. So they're going to say it's all politics. It's not legal. One of the challenges for that is going to be that the grand jury has indicted, but there's going to be a pitched battle over whether this was politics or whether these charges would have been brought. I think the big charge, though, that Comey needs to be concerned about, I think perjury is always tough to prove, but obstruction of justice is a much larger hook for DOJ. That's the much more concerning charge for the Comey legal team.
Michael Schellenberger, you predicted this was going to happen today. You were right.
Yeah, and beyond that, my predictions are probably pretty worthless because we're definitely now in a really dynamic, interesting situation. You know, I just need to pull back a little bit. It's important to remember some of the events that led up to this. One of the most important of which was the declassification of the appendix of the Durham report. And people may not remember, the Durham investigation was of how the whole Russia collusion hoax began in the first place, trying to figure out how it went from being a dirty trick by the Hillary Clinton campaign to basically being a deception operation pushed by both CIA and FBI with, you know, what appears to be a clear intention to frame Trump as a puppet of Putin. And remember, one of the most devastating things that Comey did is he goes and he briefs the President Trump just shortly after he got into office that there's this just outrageously crazy wrong memo, intelligence called the Steele memo, claiming that Trump himself is a victim of a sex blackmail operation. Everybody that has looked at that knows anything about the Russians or or be able to read an intelligence memo knew that it was bogus. So you've got Comey basically involved in a series of events, and it came out with this recently declassified report that appeared a pretty radical politicization and abuse of power in order to basically paint the perception of Trump as a foreign asset. Will they be able to prove it? You know, Durham did not bring charges against Comey.
I was going to say, the Durham report led to no charges against anybody, much to President Trump's frustration. So why as John just very accurately noted, an indictment is not, a conviction, but not by a long shot. It's the bar is very low. The old saying is that a grand jury will indict a ham sandwich.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.